We're going to be talking about contaminants. There are three kinds of contaminants. There's biological, chemical, and physical contaminants. With biological contaminants, you have bacteria, viruses, parasites, and fungi. So there's ways to prevent this. With bacteria, you can cook food to the minimum internal cooking temperature, and the heat will kill off the bacteria. With viruses, the best way to prevent viruses is through hand washing, because most viruses come from human feces. So after somebody uses the restroom and doesn't wash their hands, that is the most common way to spread viruses onto food. You have parasites that can be frozen or cooked out. And then you have fungi or molds. Then we move on to the chemical contaminants. These can be in the form of cleaners, sanitizers, or polishes. So let's say you need to clean a food contact surface and you're spraying it with sanitizer, and those particles are spitting out and going on to maybe some grilled chicken that's a couple feet away. You don't see it, but it is in the air, and if those particles get onto the grilled chicken breast, that could potentially get somebody sick. Or let's say you're cleaning a surface and the last step is sanitizing and allowing it to air dry. If you don't allow it to air dry and put the food onto that sanitizing solution, that could also get somebody sick. Then you have physical contaminants. These could be metal shavings from cans, staples, bandages, nails or nail polish, glass, dirt, and these are all items in food, tangible items in food that you can see and could cause damage to your esophagus or your intestinal tract. In the biological contamination, there are 6 pathogens. These are considered the big 6 pathogens, the most common. You have Shigella, Salmonella typhi, non-typhoidal Salmonella, Shigella causing E. coli, hepatitis A, and neurovirus. And the symptoms for catching a foodborne illness could include diarrhea, vomiting, fever, nausea, abdominal cramps, and jaundice, which is the yellowing of the skin or eyes. And you could get these symptoms 30 minutes after you eat or up to 6 weeks, because some foodborne illnesses can stay in your intestinal tract and then present themselves weeks later. There's an acronym that we use to describe the conditions where bacteria will grow the best. The acronym is called FAT-TOM. So this stands for food, acidity, time, temperature, oxygen, and moisture. So food, depending on if it's a TCS food or ready-to-eat food, some foods might better grow bacteria than others. So now we move on to acidity. The best range for bacterial growth is like 4.5 to 7.2. It's slightly acidic to neutral. That's where bacterial grow best. Then we have temperature, okay? Making sure we're keeping food out of the temperature danger zone. The temperature danger zone is 41 degrees to 135 degrees. So within that range, bacteria is going to grow really well. So if you're holding cold food, you want to hold it at 41 degrees or lower. If you're holding hot food, you want to hold it at 135 or higher. Time, making sure you're not having food sit out in the temperature danger zone for a long period of time. If you're prepping something, do it as quick as possible so you're not exposing that food to bacterial growth. Oxygen. Oxygen can help with the growth of bacteria. And then moisture. The more moisture in the food, the better conditions for bacterial growth. So if you have, let's say, a baked potato versus rice, dried rice, uncooked rice. Baked potato is going to grow a lot more bacteria because there's more moisture involved. So best prevention methods from keeping these contaminants out of food: you want to make sure that you're buying from an approved, reputable supplier. You are inspecting food to make sure there's no physical contaminants. You're washing your hands, cooking food to the correct minimum internal cooking temperature, and following all the necessary guidelines.